Multi-Tiered System of Support, MTSS Data Teams. This presentation is an overview of MTSS data teams and how they function within a multi-tiered system of support in your school. It includes information about the definition and focus of MTSS, a link to the MTSS Beliefs Survey, an explanation of the system's approach to problem solving, the 6 critical components of MTSS, a description of MTSS leadership team, self-assessment of MTSS, and how it relates to school improvement planning. In this presentation, we'll focus on some essential components of establishing the MTSS framework in your school. You're probably familiar with the multi-tiered framework of MTSS, but what often gets lost in the understanding of MTSS is that it is a framework designed to promote overall school improvement through engaging, research-based, academic, and behavioral practices for all students. Before digging too deeply into the elements of successful MTSS implementation, click the link on your screen to complete the MTSS Beliefs Survey. The data from this survey should be helpful in understanding your mentality of instruction and how that mentality relates to implementation of an MTSS framework. MTSS begins with teams who analyze data to form a plan of improvement based on instruction. Data is more than just test scores. It's information about what's happening with the work in a system. It is a foundational belief that MTSS employs a systems approach of problem solving, a constant cycle of identifying and then analyzing problems and planning implementation and evaluation. This systems approach uses data-driven problem solving to maximize growth for all students. There are components that help to ensure successful implementation of MTSS. These are known as the 6 critical components of MTSS. They are essential in providing effective framework for MTSS at the district and school level. They include leadership, building capacity, communication and collaboration, data evaluation, 3-tiered instructional model, and data-based problem solving. You're probably familiar with the components of data evaluation, the 3-tiered instructional model, and data-based problem solving. But the components of leadership, capacity, and communication and collaboration are just as important. They actually establish the readiness for planning purposeful data evaluation, problem solving, and instruction. Let's take a closer look at the 6 critical components of MTSS. This group activity includes passing out a copy of the 6 critical components of MTSS to each member on your team. Assign each team member a component to review, and team members should silently read the assigned components and highlight 2 statements that best reflect an understanding of that component. Take some time for each team member to share the highlights from each component. And then after sharing, work as a team to rank the components in order from 1 to 6 to indicate which component your school is doing well at number 1 to which component needs the most improvement at number 6. You may pause the video at this time to conduct that quick group activity. Data teams are an essential piece of the MTSS puzzle in implementing the 6 critical components of MTSS in your school. Data teams meet on a regular basis, make data-based decisions, may focus on either school-wide, group, or individualized instruction depending on team focus, use the systems approach problem-solving model, and communicate with other teams on a regular basis. The illustration at the bottom of the screen indicates the focus of the varying teams and illustrates the communication connections that exist between data teams. The data teams that you're probably already familiar with are seen here. First, the school improvement team, traditionally made up of administrator, grade level representatives, support staff, a parent rep, and others. That team typically meets to discuss school operational decisions and approve the school improvement plan. PBIS and PLCs in grade level or subject areas usually consist of a leader, an administrator, grade level representation, support staff, teacher assistant representation, and more. They typically make data decisions for groups of students based on specific areas of data. Your school's problem-solving team consists of an administrator, coordinator, Title I representation, school counselor, school psychologist, and interventionist. That team makes data-based decisions for individual students at an intense level of support. Also, IEP teams, who consist of administrator, an EC teacher, school psychologist, general ed teacher, case compliance manager, and parent. That team meets to look at individualized students who are receiving services in the Exceptional Children's Program. So, considering all of these teams that function in your school that look at data on a regular basis, we ask the question, who looks at school-wide data? The MTSS leadership team consists of staff members who look at behavior, attendance, universal screening, progress monitoring, and assessment data to get an overall picture of what data indicate at a school-wide level. Let's take a look at what data analysis would consist of for this MTSS leadership team. The MTSS leadership team should include staff members such as an administrator, the curriculum lead, the PST coordinator, the school psychologist, school counselor, Title I lead, PBIS lead, and have case colleague representation. Their goal would be to examine school-wide data to drive school improvement, including looking at behavior, attendance, universal screening, progress monitoring, fidelity, and assessment. The intention would be for this team to meet monthly or at a minimum quarterly. MTSS leadership teams should use multiple data sources to effectively conduct data-based problem solving to determine school needs. Examples of school-wide data may include the self-assessment of MTSS or SAM, which provides MTSS implementation information for your school. Literacy foundational skills data may be available from DIBELS or Ames Web assessments. Also, Easy CBM math assessment data can be used. End of grade or end of course assessments, behavior data, and attendance data would all be included in school-wide data for the MTSS leadership team to determine needs for your school. So how do we start this process? It is suggested for the MTSS leadership team to begin to drive the school improvement process with results from the yearly SAM assessment. Each year, typically in April, school teams will complete the self-assessment of MTSS to review and respond to 39 descriptors within each of the 6 critical components regarding the level of MTSS implementation in your school. The SAM results summaries, coupled with school data sources, are used to determine goals for school improvement in the areas of leadership, academics, and behavior. School-wide data analysis by MTSS leadership teams enables schools to develop and support action steps for the school improvement plan, determine if core instruction is effective, and it's the first step in identifying the needs of all students and determining which groups of students require either intervention support, core support, or enrichment instruction to grow cognitively. In summary of MTSS data teams, we hope you have a better understanding of the definition and focus of MTSS, have had the opportunity to complete the MTSS Beliefs Survey, understand more clearly what a systems approach to problem solving means, and what the 6 critical components of MTSS are, who the MTSS leadership team should consist of, and how they look at school-wide data to drive school improvement efforts for your school. Also, we hope you have a better understanding of what the SAM or self-assessment of MTSS is, how the MTSS leadership team contributes to school improvement planning. Your district MTSS team hopes you found this presentation to be informative and helpful, and that it better enables you to establish a healthy MTSS framework for your school.